for Jimi Hendrix, and he at one point said that you were his favorite guitarist.
I remember.
Better than me. That's what Jimi Hendrix said about Terry Kath. Jimi Hendrix, arguably the greatest guitarist who ever lived, said Terry Kath was better than him. Yet if you ask most rock fans today who Terry Kath was, they'll draw a blank. He was the guitarist, singer, and creative force behind Chicago, one of the most successful rock bands of the 1970s. He could play blistering rock solos, soulful ballads, and everything in between. His voice could be tender or raw with power. He was a musical genius. And on January 23, 1978, at just 31 years old, Terry Kath accidentally killed himself playing with a gun he thought was unloaded. This is the story of rock's most underrated guitar legend, a man whose talent was so immense that even Jimi Hendrix stood in awe, but whose name has been largely forgotten. I'm your host at High Voltage Rock History, and today we're diving deep into the life, music, and tragic death of Terry Kath. Let's get started. Early life and musical beginnings. Terry. Alan Kath was born on January 31, 1946, in Chicago, Illinois. Music was in his blood from the start. His mother was a dancer, and his father played the banjo. By age 9, Terry was already teaching himself guitar, and by his teens he was playing in local bands around the Chicago music scene. What set Terry apart wasn't just his technical skill, it was his feel. He could make a guitar sing, scream, or weep. He was influenced by blues legends like Muddy Waters and Howlin' Wolf, but also by rock pioneers like Chuck Berry and jazz innovators. He absorbed it all and created something uniquely his own. In the mid-1960s, Terry was playing in a band called Jimmy Ford and the Executives, where he met drummer Danny Serafine. The two formed a tight musical bond that would become the foundation of something much bigger. Terry wasn't interested in being a guitar hero for the sake of ego. He wanted to serve the music. That humility, combined with his extraordinary talent, made him the perfect musician to help create one of rock's most innovative bands.
Yeah, I know.
Hey, would you turn up this vocal mic, Jimmy?
How's Bobby?
Where's our stuff?
Bobby's all right.
I think the whole track.
Forming Chicago Transit Authority. In 1967, Terry Kath, Danny Serafine, and saxophonist Walt Parazater joined forces with keyboardist Robert Lamb, trombonist James Pankow, and trumpet player Lee Loughnane. They called themselves The Big Thing, but soon changed their name to Chicago Transit Authority. Their vision was revolutionary: combine rock and roll with jazz, add a full horn section, and create something that had never been done before. Terry's guitar would be the bridge between the rock foundation and the jazz experimentation. Their self-titled debut album, released in 1969, was a double LP that showcased their ambition. Songs like Introduction and Does Anybody Really Know What Time It Is proved they could write catchy pop songs, while extended jams like Liberation showed their jazz chops. And through it all, Terry's guitar was the glue holding it together. Producer James William Guercio saw their potential and helped shape their sound. But it was Terry's guitar work and increasingly his vocals that gave the band its emotional depth. He could play a blistering solo on I'm a Man and then deliver a tender vocal on a ballad all with equal mastery. After a legal dispute with the actual Chicago Transit Authority, they shortened their name to simply Chicago, and they were about to become one of the biggest bands in the world. The guitar style that changed everything. Terry Kath's guitar style was unlike anything else in rock music. He didn't rely on flashy technique or speed, though he had both in abundance. Instead, he focused on tone, emotion, and serving the song. He played a 1968 Fender Telecaster through a variety of amps, but his secret weapon was his fingers. Terry had an incredibly dynamic touch. He could go from whisper soft to screaming loud within the same phrase. His vibrato was expressive and vocal-like, making his guitar literally sing. Unlike many rock guitarists of the era who relied heavily on distortion, Terry used a cleaner tone that allowed every note to be heard clearly. When he did use overdrive, it was purposeful and musical, never just for show. His solos were melodic and memorable. Listen to Make Me Smile or Color My World. Those aren't just guitar solos, they're complete musical statements. Terry, 25 or 6-4, his defining moment. If there's one song that showcases Terry Kath's genius, it's 25 or 6 to 4 4 inches. Released in 1970 on Chicago's second album, the song features one of rock's most iconic guitar riffs and an absolutely scorching solo. The title refers to the time 25 or 26 minutes to 4 a.m. when songwriter Robert Lamb was struggling with writer's block. But it's Terry's guitar that makes the song unforgettable. That opening riff is instantly recognizable, a funky, syncopated pattern that drives the entire song. And then comes the solo. Terry unleashes a fury of notes, bending strings, using feedback, and building to a climax that still gives listeners chills decades later. What makes the solo so special is that it's not just technical showmanship, it's emotional storytelling. You can hear frustration, determination, and ultimately triumph in those notes. It's the sound of a guitarist at the absolute peak of his powers. 25 or 6 to 4 became Chicago's signature song and reached number 4 on the Billboard Hot 100. For many listeners, it was their introduction to Terry Kath's extraordinary talent. Guitar magazines and critics took notice. This wasn't just another rock guitarist, this was someone special. Jimi Hendrix's famous quote, "The story has been told many times, but it never gets old. In the late 1960s, Chicago and Jimi Hendrix were both playing at the Whiskey A Go-Go in Los Angeles. After Chicago's set, Hendrix came backstage. According to multiple band members who were there, Hendrix walked up to Terry, shook his hand, and said, 'I think you're better than me.' Let that sink in. Jimi Hendrix, the man who redefined what the electric guitar could do, who created sounds no one had ever heard before, told Terry Kath he was better. Terry, being the humble guy he was, reportedly laughed it off. But the other band members never forgot it. Danny Seraphine later said, "Jimi was in awe of Terry. He thought Terry was the best guitarist he'd ever heard." Why would Hendrix say this? Because Terry had something that even Jimi recognized as rare, complete musicality. Terry wasn't trying to be the flashiest or the loudest. He was trying to be the most musical. Every note had a purpose. Every solo told a story. And his tone was so pure and expressive that it moved people on a deep emotional level. That compliment from Jimi Hendrix should have made Terry Kath a household name. Instead, he remained in the shadows while Chicago racked up hit after hit. The voice behind the hits. What many people don't realize is that Terry Kath wasn't just an incredible guitarist, he was also one of Chicago's best vocalists. His voice had a raw, soulful quality that brought emotional depth to everything he sang. Listen to Color My World, that tender, intimate vocal is Terry. Or check out Make Me Smile, that powerful, soaring voice is Terry. He could do it all. On songs like Beginnings, Terry's vocal performance is nothing short of spectacular. He starts soft and vulnerable, then builds to a passionate, almost desperate plea. It's the kind of vocal that makes you feel every word. Terry also wrote and sang lead on several Chicago songs, including Introduction, one of the band's most beloved deep cuts. His songwriting was introspective and honest, often dealing with themes of searching for meaning and connection. But despite his vocal talents, Terry was never comfortable in the spotlight. He preferred to let other band members like Peter Cetera and Robert Lamb take the lead vocals on most songs. Terry was content to be the musical foundation, the guitarist and vocalist who made everyone else sound better. That selflessness was part of what made him so special, and part of why he never got the recognition he deserved. While other guitarists were chasing fame and glory, Terry was chasing the perfect note, the perfect tone, the perfect song. He was a musician's musician, and his bandmates knew they had something irreplaceable. Personal struggles and demons. But behind the musical genius, Terry Kath was struggling with personal demons that would ultimately lead to his tragic end. By the mid-1970s, Chicago was one of the biggest bands in the world. They had sold millions of albums, toured relentlessly, and produced hit after hit. But the pressure was taking its toll on Terry. He began drinking heavily. The constant touring, the pressure to perform, and perhaps the frustration of being underappreciated as a guitarist all contributed to his increasing alcohol consumption. Friends and bandmates noticed the change, but in the rock and roll culture of the 70s, heavy drinking was normalized. Terry's marriage to Pamela Robinson was also under strain. They had a daughter, Michelle, born in 1976, but the demands of his career and his personal struggles made family life difficult. Despite these challenges, Terry continued to create brilliant music. Chicago's albums throughout the mid-70s, Chicago 7, Chicago 8, Chicago 10, and Chicago 11, all featured Terry's exceptional guitar work and vocals, but those who knew him well could see he was in pain. There was another troubling habit that concerned his friends. Terry had developed a fascination with guns. He collected them and would often handle them casually, sometimes while drinking. Multiple people had warned him about the danger, but Terry would laugh it off, insisting he knew what he was doing. What happened on January 23, 1978, would shock the music world and rob rock and roll of one of its greatest talents. The tragic story of that night still haunts everyone who was there. January 23, 1978. The tragic night. January 23, 1978. Terry Kath was at a party at the home of Don Johnson, not the Miami Vice actor, but a band technician. It was late in the evening and Terry had been drinking. At some point, Terry began showing off his gun collection to those present. He picked up a 9mm semi-automatic pistol and, in what he thought was a demonstration of gun safety, removed the magazine. What Terry didn't realize, or had forgotten in his intoxicated state, was that there was still a round in the chamber. He put the gun to his head and pulled the trigger. According to witnesses, including Don Johnson's wife Camelia, Terry's last words were, "What do you think I'm gonna do? Blow my brains out?" And then he did exactly that. The gun discharged. Terry Kath died instantly. He was 31 years old. The news devastated the music world. His bandmates were in shock. They had lost not just their guitarist and vocalist, but their friend, their brother, and the musical heart of Chicago. Danny Seraphine later said it was like losing a family member. Robert Lamb called it the worst day of his life. The official ruling was accidental death. There was no suicide note, no indication. If you've never explored Chicago's early albums, Chicago Transit Authority, Chicago 2, and Chicago 3, do yourself a favor and listen. You'll hear a guitarist who could do anything, play anything, and make it all sound effortless. Terry Kath's story is one of incredible talent, tragic loss, and a legacy that deserves far more recognition than it's received. He was a guitarist who earned Jimi Hendrix's respect, a vocalist who could move audiences to tears, and a musician who always put the song first. His death at 31 was a senseless tragedy that robbed rock and roll of one of its brightest lights. We'll never know what music Terry might have created if he'd lived. We'll never hear the solos he didn't get to play or the songs he didn't get to write. But we have the music he left behind, and it's extraordinary. From the blistering guitar work on 25 or 6 to 4, to the tender vocals on Color My World, Terry Kath's legacy lives on in every note. So the next time someone asks you who the greatest guitarists of all time are, remember Terry Kath. Remember the man Jimi Hendrix called better than himself. Remember the guitarist who made Chicago one of the most innovative bands of the 1970s. And remember that sometimes the greatest talents are the ones history forgets until someone takes the time to tell their story. What's your favorite Terry Kath guitar moment? Drop a comment below and let me know. And subscribe to High Voltage Rock History so you never miss another untold story from rock's greatest legends. Till next time, keep it loud, keep it real, and keep it rock and roll.